Oh, we are live. कोई बोल भी नहीं रहा है. ठीक है. Yes, are we live? I think we are live. People who are watching in, please comment CFBR because Jamie का mic नहीं काम कर रहा apparently. So I'm depending on you guys. Let's see who all are here already. I can see Doug Stanhope is already here. It's very unlike Doug Stanhope to be on time, but okay. We got the Subhash Smith is here. Hey, yes, yes, CFBR, yes, CFBR. Monte Singh is here. Shubham is here. Shubham Mandal is also here. Good to see the frequent flyers are in already. Uh, do like the stream if you haven't, so we can reach more people and get on with business. Uh, Really interesting name has said hi. Very good. Darshan Gashti and of course Ane is here. Guys, is this a good time to go live? और लाइक आर यू ऑल लाइक मी और आप भी निशाचर हो और आप भी जागते हो रात तक? कोई लेट जिहाद बोल रहा है. Just waiting for a few more people to come in before we start. I did an early show today at 6 p.m. In at J Spot. All बच्चा came because 6 बजे कोई नौकरी वाला आदमी तो आ नहीं सकता शो में. सब स्टूडेंट्स थे and I can't connect with students. तो क्या करेगा? I think I should go back to college maybe and do one of those Uncle MBAs. Piyush Tiwari is here. Lazy Panda is here. Great. Few updates, guys. I'm not on tour currently. I finally taking a break, but I do have one show in August in Pune. I have one show in Bangalore in September, but that's all I got for now. And we got one online show happening on the 11th of August. It's a Sunday and it's a new show. So most of you wouldn't have seen it. I just did it twice last year. And we are calling it Satsang for lack of a better word. So that's on 11th August online. You can join in from anywhere. And one big announcement, which I think no better place to do it than YouTube Live, is that me and Sanjay Rajora are going to be performing together finally on stage at the same time. And this show debuts in Mumbai on 31st August, Saturday at Above the Habitat. And then 1st September, Sunday at the Box in Pune, also a very nice venue. So I think that live was really instrumental in getting Sanjay interested, to come back to society again. He still doesn't have a account yet on social media, which is good for him, I guess. But we do need to sell tickets. So this show is called Apocalypse because why not? That's me and Sanjay on stage together, Mumbai and Pune, end of August. All of those things are in the link that is there in the description for all the shows. We have a mailing list now, which we haven't used yet, but we will when we come to your city or I put a new blog out. The new blog is ready, by the way. I'm just waiting for a couple of things before I can publish it. A new video came out on Monday. I don't know if you guys saw it. One of my favorite sets, Why I Left My Job. And it has some of those heavy lines which you guys like, but the market doesn't. So, anyway, if you haven't seen it already, please do so. बहुत काम कर रहा है लग रहा है सारा नौकरी कर रहा है वेंचर एक ब्लॉग एक लाइव एक क्या क्या अभी कोई बात नहीं चलिए लोग सुन रहे हैं तब तक बोलना चाहिए few more people are joined in that's great do like the stream like I said once again so that we can begin with the show uh, our guest tonight is familiar to you guys. He is my childhood friend because I'm a late bloomer, so childhood began after college, and he's a writer as well, like a proper legit writer. Like he has a book to his credit, unlike Guruji, and he's also written a bunch of other stuff, including web series and comic as well, of course. But now he's more of a storyteller and a podcaster. In fact, we did one of the biggest shows this Sunday, which I'm sure we'll talk about once he's here. And above all of that, for today, he is a book lover. So, like I'm sure many of you are. What it also means is that you're lonely and you come for live streams like these. So, with that in mind, CFBR कहते हुए एक बार प्लीज स्वागत कीजिए स्टेज पे हमारे आज के गेस्ट का मिस्टर कौतुक श्रीवास्तव. यस.
Always love these introductions.
Oh, I forgot father, dude. Shit, I
Yeah,
that's the most
that
important now, right? I mean,
yeah,
in the descending order of things.
straight up, straight like just it. father goes like it just leapfrogs all the other achievements. Like it
Yeah.
just goes
I
right
mean,
up there.
podcaster तो बोल ही नहीं पाएगा father के सामने. Just the weight.
In terms of gravitas,
Yeah.
the tails are tipped.
You saw Anirban got his daughter into an ad recently. It was amazing. He did an insurance ad, and the daughter is part of it, dude.
Dude, by the way, there's a line from a book. I will come to that book in a bit. But there's a line from a book that would completely make sense. Okay.
Uh,
So, in today's day and age, kids have become emotionally priceless and economically useless.
oh
So,
man.
anything that turns it around, yes.
The best I heard is plants are the new pets
Hmm.
and pets are the new kids.
Hmm.
So there's somebody asked, what are kids then? He said they are like exotic animals. You have to be very rich and little crazy to have them.
Yeah,
First super
it's
chat
pretty
has
wild.
come in. First
Hmm.
super chat is coming from the land of Canada.
Hmm.
From Lazy Panda, who has said that I have become a manager waiting for the angioplasty. So, so reference to my joke that if you wait back long enough in a job, you will get what you always wanted. Not two promotions and one angioplasty. Uh, s- sorry, you are saying something
No, no,
about
nothing, nothing.
it's expensive to hair, dude. Like, did you do the maths before you guys planned?
See, Puneet, having a baby is is much like falling in love.
Oh no. Okay.
If you weigh the pros and the cons, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Oh man. And the cat is still there, right?
The what is still there?
The cat.
The cat is still there.
Yeah,
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 yeah, the
yeah,
cat
yeah, yeah.
is.
So when is that show coming, dude? Like your show, which will of course be titled Siddhi and I, because that's how most sentences start.
Yeah, show will uh, I mean it's sorry, my mic I think has dropped off, but will come in sometime. Still writing it. It's gonna take a bit of time, I think.
Siddhi was saying that we are hoping that the cat and the child would interact and get some reels out of it, but वो लोग they hate each other apparently.
No, yeah. So there is a whole concept called sharenting. Have you heard of this? Can you
Oh,
guess
dude, I can't, dude.
from that Frankenstein word what that
Parenting. Oh,
sharenting?
oh man,
It
is it
is where
like?
you
Yeah.
share your parenting on social media. So you know the videos where
Oh,
people like bring their kids in and they're like, blah 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 blah.
Rahul Dua, no, like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing sharenting, but
I think
बहुत public बना रहा है यार
he
content.
did pre-parenting also, like right from like day one. ऐसा.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's one of the things, right? In like modern day, you have all these other new philosophical questions that you have to answer, such as,
Yeah,
is it right for me to put my child's face on the internet?
yeah,
Is it
yeah,
blah 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 blah? And
yeah.
our answer was very simply this: ki, take away, all the the people are watching and this and that and the other. Would you want to share? Like, I look at social media as a place where I keep also my memories, right? And
Yeah.
would I want to put some of the stuff that happens in my life? Yes. So for me, that was the answer. But yeah, everyone has their own version. And I feel the
Hmm.
weirdest one is where you put the child's photo, but then you put one emoji on face. Like, I never understood that one. Like, either you do or you don't. But
Yeah, yeah. There's no escaping it now. I mean, you think can you keep the kids away from a phone till they are like, I don't know, 8, 9 years? Possibly नहीं है.
I don't think so.
No.
I think in the future that will constitute cruelty. I was deprived.
And
My
uh,
childhood was bereft.
आई
do
थिंक
you,
कौतुक मेन क्वेश्चन टू आस्क इज कि आप अपने बच्चे से आईआईटी करवाओगे?
अरे, already the big question.
अरे जो जो मैं खुद नहीं कर पाया. The like I feel like my parents, they have accepted, because it is an acceptance, right?
Yeah,
You are in the arts, you have to accept it. Right? You have to come out first. You have to come out to your parents. I'm in the arts. Then they have to accept you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Like, I think 4 years ago, my mother had just in passing during lunch had asked, "You can still do an MBA. Are you thinking of it?"
Oh shit, just 4 years back.
Yeah, yeah. So anything is
Oh
possible.
man. Yeah, I think for Indian parents, like after being gay, उसके थोड़ा ही नीचे आता है artist वाला.
Artist. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Dev Nine has revealed that Kautuk has a cat called Begum.
It's true. I, I can confirm.
SM is saying can't really stop my wife from putting our kids on internet, but I do share scary stories from time to time with her to discourage her. I guess. But
Oh,
it's like if the child sees you with a phone all the time, they will demand it. But if you yourself don't use it much, then
but I mean, I mean, for us as comics and stuff, so it's a work hazard. Like, you have to have
yeah,
your phone. Like,
yeah.
you have to because you have to be clued in with the world so that you can, talk about it. And
Dude,
also, like,
homework, dude,
to
homework. रोज डालना पड़ रहा है कुछ ना कुछ.
rose. Yeah. But also, coming to this particular podcast in this particular topic, by the way, Puneet, I have to commend you on the skill that you have developed in creating clickbaity headlines. This
Without
title that you
compromising
have
on
put,
ideology.
huh?
Without compromising on ideology.
Yeah, yeah. This title of "Do people who read books are they sad?" is just, it's such a देखना तो पड़ेगा अभी. Are
Yeah.
they?
I also wanted to put sad like SED, मगर फिर ज्यादा हो जाएगा. Why are they sad people? Speaking of sad people, Mr. Samay, who has sent a super chat saying, "Sir, today is my birthday. I work in a government organization and an artist. Portraits and mandala he makes. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Also, wish me good luck for my artistic career. क्या बात है? Happy birthday, man, Samay. And yeah, best of luck. But government job is good because even if you slack off, they don't give a fuck. So, जल्दी निकल जाने का काम से और क्या?
And my wish for you is that I hope that this is not your only plan on your birthday. But all
Wow,
the
but
best.
mandala paintings are very intricate. No? They take a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
so
to conceive of them and
yeah.
to put them out is pretty crazy.
So where this is coming from is like in one of my sets, no, I have a line that well-read people have fewer friends.
Hmm.
So in continuation, do you agree that people who read a lot are incapable of some mainstream happiness?
What a loaded question. No, I think they're equally happy. I think they just express it very differently from mainstream happiness. I think that is the main thing. The I think right, the modes of expressing happiness also get stereotyped.
Yeah, yeah.
If
So,
happiness exists, it must be in this form. It
mm,
must be on a Friday night in a bar where you are drinking yourself senseless. It has to be somewhere in that zone, but
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's like there's a bunch of other stuff as well.
Toba, toba.
Toba, toba. Yeah.
But there's a sense of gloom increasingly, I think, post-COVID, so COVID itself sort of laid bare uh, how empty the world is. Like, all the systems and the authorities that you used to work for or look up to or
Hmm.
obey, they all came out to be like very hollow, because you didn't go to work for years, but the company is still running, the
Mhm.
world is still running. Okay, so I notice also amongst all the people I interact with wherever I go, like for shows and all, there's a casualness that is set into work, like that formality of working somewhere is gone. No, like people are not taking the jobs as seriously, which would be good in a broader sense. But there's a sort of feeling of hopelessness. Like how do I explain this? It's like institutions are falling, like, and climate change is upon us, is here. Like it is not in the distant past. You can feel it now, right?
Hmm.
And yet you know कि इसका कुछ होने नहीं वाला है. Nobody will improve. Plastics will be around. Corruption will happen. And plus the end stage capitalism का memes India तक पहुंच गया है. So no, so सोशलिज्म में ही पहुंच पाया पूरा, लेकिन ये आ गया. So there's a sense of hopelessness, and the people who read more, like say they start with Sapiens and they go to other stuff. There is no sort of uh, thing to look up to, like no hope.
Honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree and sort of like disagree. I feel like there is I feel like there are two ways of looking at it, and I think the way that most people function is that there is this long term happiness and short term happiness, right? And long term happiness seems to be a question mark at this point, but short term happiness is there. Short term happiness, people are enjoying. Like they're
यानी
optimistic. They're
शॉर्ट टर्म यानी क्या, डबल डबल चॉकलेट चोको चिप संडे, दैट इज शॉर्ट टर्म.
like, and to be honest, Purit, as someone who has interest in meditation, etc., you'll know that the most highest form of enlightenment you can achieve is living completely in the present. and and most people are that only कि अरे आज आज लंच में गुलाब जामुन था यार मस्त.
Oh yeah, so that way they're Buddhist monks
Yeah, dude.
ordering gulab jamun from Swiggy
From
because they.
from like, it was this moment okay? Yes, cool. I'm okay.
Oh
कल किसने
man,
देखा है?
yeah. Suddenly I'm seeing consumers in new light.
Yeah.
So
No,
does
and
living in the moment means fuck global warming? No, that's what it means.
हाँ, जब जब फ्यूचर प्रेजेंट बन जाएगा तब डील करूंगा ना.
Hmm.
So, but the sad part of this is that we're treating global warming and all that also with the same lens, na? Ki we treat it like it's homework. Ki we'll wait till the last minute, then
Yeah,
we'll scribble something and save the day, right?
yeah.
But anyways, but the other thing about this is ki I don't think that all book readers, and I mean, I don't think that everyone um, has lost all meaning with the pandemic and
Hmm.
with knowledge and stuff like that. I think that they have recontextualized a lot of it. And I think the value of life also increases when you realize how fragile it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of people who have also embraced the fact that, oh, it anything can happen at any point, so let me live fully.
Fully. Hmm.
So there is always that other side of that coin as well, which is very interesting.
Because this, I mentioned this in one of the shows recently, where we've become like a culture of the big questions. Nobody asks the smaller questions anymore. So you talk about politics, they will say revolution किधर है? But let's
Mm.
do the small stuff first. Let's
Mm.
clean up the road first. वो नहीं, revolution नहीं आ रहा है तो तुम्हारा art बेकार है. You talk about global warming, so they say you, no matter what you do, Kardashians are flying in the private jet, so fuck you. But then, if you go that way, then you can't even start anywhere. No? You can't even start
That's true.
cleaning up. Right? So, how do you deal with that as a conscientious person? If you're not conscientious, then life is great. Then life is tova tova. But if you are a conscientious book reader,
Like, to give it another analogy, I
hmm,
always feel like, th- like, think of a grand romantic gesture.
hmm,
Okay. It is amazing, right? Everyone wants it. When you experience it, it really is dazzling and memorable, etc. But if that was your entire relationship, it would get so tiring. हर दिन कुछ नया grand
हर दिन
gesture.
चीज केक. हाँ जेमी, तुम करता है क्या ये?
So my point is that you need like so basically, to take that analogy further, like, it's that everyday basic courtesy that builds the relationship, right?
Yeah,
Which is so much more, or if not as valuable as the
well,
grand
yeah,
gesture.
yeah,
But you don't think of it that way, right? People rarely romanticize that stuff. You have basic decency within a relationship. Barely talked about.
yeah, yeah. Because people are arguing, like, I put up a video about environmental consciousness. And people are arguing कि क्या
I
फायदा
loved that video, by the way. तेरा एक
with
line बहुत अच्छा था उसमें. What had you said?
I said that every small act that you do to save the environment or to be clean, it's like an act of honesty. You
Mm.
do it when nobody is watching also.
Mm.
Like putting it into the bin or not using a plastic bottle, putting the tap off. Nobody is gonna judge you or punish you for it, but you still do it. You don't sit and count कि अरे Kardashian plane में उड़ रही है तो मैं भी पानी का टैप खुला छोड़ देता. It doesn't make sense. No? Like I don't like wasting plastic bottle. I carry my own bottle. So
Hmm.
people are saying कि अरे this one metal bottle is equal to some 100
Sure,
plastic bottles.
sure.
But then does that then you start spitting everywhere? No, it is also like greenhouse emission कम है उसका भी spitting compared to a roller coaster or whatever. But then basic courtesy you have to maintain.
Yeah.
But how else does it start? Like you talk about politics or the larger issues. People say this is my favorite. People say कि कलयुग चल रहा है. हाँ, युग ही गलत है. So I am absolved of all sins. ये युग ही गलत है बेंच. कुछ भी करो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है.
No, correct, correct. And I think that's you've nailed it. What you just said. Ki it basically comes down to how much responsibility people want to take and
Yeah.
how much they want to deflect. And you have enough. Like I always like there's one, I forget where I read this line, but the line was that we are not rational creatures. We are emotional creatures that justify our emotions rationally.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so and the beauty of that is ki you can, if you whatever position you take in life, you will find some way to justify it. Right, wrong doesn't matter, and that's what it is. It eventually comes down to like, how much responsibility are you personally willing to take, and
Hmm.
and how much will you justify that as opposed to the other stuff.
Uh, do you have other friends who are also like into books, or is it just you? Because clearly on this podcast तो कोई दूर दूर तक नहीं तेरे को छोड़ के.
Neville is a
Nevertheless,
avid reader. Yeah,
he's
Neville is a
yeah,
reader. Yeah,
avid
yeah.
reader. Yeah,
Avid
okay.
reader. He has a and he has an appreciation for literature because I think it comes from that appreciation for words as being a copywriter and like coming up from those
Uh,
ranks.
yeah.
So he has like that. So I have a very like it doesn't always show on the podcast, but
See, that's what I was thinking कि ये शेक्सपियर पढ़ के भी संजना बोल रहा है स्टेज
so it doesn't always translate, but like we have like very interesting conversations. Um, I have a few other people who, and it really feels like, you're in some kind of contraband scene. Ki- you you have to like you have to catch on to their signal and you have to be like, "तू भी करता है क्या books?" And
पे.
and then they, slowly they first
Yeah,
assess ki, is this guy trustworthy, and then they'll eventually open up.
yeah.
But yeah, but actually that's true. When I think about it on the very long, like if I look across this thing, very few, very, very few. Like
है
I'm
ना. And then even if you
aberration.
have fewer friends तो बाकी लोग का तो चांस ही नहीं है फिर.
Yeah, I think they cluster together a lot, and I think like it's also um, when you come across people who read, it's such an exhilarating thing because suddenly you have this outlet जहाँ तो तेरा जो इतना pent up है ना, where
Yeah,
in your daily life you've just been talking about reels, movies,
yeah.
and then
A-
suddenly like
Yeah, and then I wanted to do small talk again with this person. I can just get to the hard topics
dude,
directly.
like for example, you won't believe I had a outstanding conversation with Vaibhav Sethia
Oh,
in a green room in Habitat, right? So we met because we were on the same lineup, and then
yeah.
he got done, I got done, and we were just talking. And he started like somehow we just got into some topics, and then it goes, from one topic to another. The
Yeah.
next thing you know, we're talking about like deep philosophy
Oh,
of, he was telling me about Jain philosophy and all of that stuff, and it became
uh,
so intense. And I told him this. I was like, man, Webab, I can't tell you how good it feels to have a conversation like this.
so guys, Vaibhav Sethia is a fellow comic, and for Kautuk, he's a fellow father also.
Yeah,
So
it was
he
crazy.
he he still does the absurd stuff only, on stage.
No, and I
This seems
realized because that's what he's doing on it. Like he's nerding out
uh
on very specific things, and he goes like deep into
uh
them, and he's watching YouTube stuff, and it's crazy. Like a bunch of very interesting, and that's what I was telling him. Like you don't get to have a lot of these conversations. Like they don't get that far.
so this means that there are people amongst us who are also readers, but they are not revealed, they don't come out of the closet, so you don't know.
And I also think that One way of looking at it is this key. You can say that are we uh, is it just books that hold knowledge, or are there now new ways of getting knowledge? And that's the
Yeah.
important part,
Yeah.
right?
I was
So
thinking that, no, like we are visual creatures, and that's why Instagram is doing so well, but
yeah,
can it replace a book? Now it's like you have tidbits of information from all the fields, but you
yeah,
don't know in depth about a lot of it. And if you do go in depth, which a lot of people do, they go down a rabbit hole, but you're all consuming content which is so tailored to just get your
yeah,
eyeballs that
that's true.
their priority is not to inform you or to give you useful information or
That's
give you
true.
balance. Not at all. It's all porn only in a way. It's like a different kind of porn.
That's true.
So
That's true. I do feel like there is a what you just said is great. Like the fact that your information is being commoditized into this like cute little you
e-
know
M&M's gems खाने के जैसे है.
gems. It's that I do think that like books. There's one good this thing कि इसने बोला था I think Nicholas Taleb. Nazim Nicholas Taleb, he had said this thing, ki, like if I had to, people ask me, ki, why don't you make, your books any smaller? He's like, this is the smallest version of coherent information. My
Yeah,
book is the smallest version of coherent information. So if I had to remove anything else, it wouldn't be what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
So, and I feel like there are some types of information that benefit from it being like written down. And I feel like a lot of that is going to become like instructional stuff. It's going to become a lot of like abstract stuff. It's going to become a lot of like non-fiction stuff that will become books. And
More
maybe we'll see other forms of things
books
later.
then. So you're saying fiction and entertainment will be taken over by like more by video, you're saying.
It might. Like
Right.
the one place that books still excel the most
Hmm.
is is in taking you in the interior monologue of characters. Right. So the closest that movies tend to do is they tend to do it in voiceover, right, where you hear the thoughts of a character.
Or increasingly now a blurb of text appears on screen. I remember Sherlock Holmes web series was one of the first to do that, and now
Yeah,
everybody is doing it, because that's what life is.
yeah. No, I mean that is one full different conversation about ki have movies been able to depict this crazy second life that we live online,
Yeah, yeah,
to depict that digitally, because think about this, visually it looks extremely dull.
yeah,
Visually it is a person doing this
yeah, yeah. And inside is going through like a
whole gamut
cornucopia,
whole
yeah,
gamut of
of
things. So,
emotions.
for
Yeah.
example, books have done a very poor job of translating this digital life onto the page. Very difficult. And part of it is because the digital medium changes so quickly and books take so long that by the
Yeah,
time you've written your book, that thing is fucking prehistoric, whatever you're
yeah.
writing about.
But do
Um,
you still buy that, like similar to what you said, that books also stimulate the imagination more than just passively consuming
yeah, yeah. I mean, but
images?
but that's exactly it, right? What you just said, the word passive. Okay, the idea that, which is why, by the way, video games right now are the
Hmm.
biggest in terms of revenue, the biggest form of media in the world.
Is it?
Yes, in terms of revenue. And there, you'd be shocked by how much bigger they are than movies.
Then movies, huh?
They make more money, but the only difference is they have less cultural impact. So movies still have a bigger cultural impact. More people know
Hmm.
about the Avengers, but
Hmm.
the the video games have surpassed them. And one of the reasons for that is because think of what that is. It is a thing where you have audio visual stimulation, but you are the main character
You're creating
and
it.
you are
Hmm.
actively involved and actively engaging with trying to
Hmm.
learn the narrative and move forward.
It's like you're
It's
in the movie in a way.
you're in the movie. And if you add the new stuff that's coming up, right? Like if you add VR and all of that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
you'll be like, no one's escaping video games. That's it. Like The writers of the future will be writing the best video game possible, not whatever
And
else
they
is.
already are. Many of
Yeah.
them seem to be quite immersive. And we got
Yeah.
the nicest super chat from Darvinder, who's said that gentle reminder to everyone to like, share, and subscribe. Congrats to Kautuk and Siddhi.
Hey,
Guruji
thank
ko
you.
pranam. और जेमी भाई को भी shout
I
out.
like I like how you, Puneet,
Uh,
skeptic, critical thinker, have now become Guruji.
yeah. I've had to accept it, I guess. It's been rather organic actually. Uh, I keep saying this that no, my mom always feared from the start that I'll become like a Baba of some sort, and
Yeah, no, and
that
by the way, there has to be the distinction made between the I think the thing that you're referring to is more of Guruji as teacher and not as Godman.
not as Godman, but the example she uses is there was this great film called Guide, no, in which Raju Guide he becomes a saint by he didn't want to, but circumstances lead
Oh
him to
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
point where
yeah.
there's who else is joining? Let me just take a look at the chat. We got ER exclusives. लोग क्या क्या नाम लिखते हैं अपना. फिर Shubham is still here. Then Waleed is saying honesty, integrity का सबसे अच्छा टेस्ट है shopping cart test. You come to know if a person is of high integrity when he returns the shopping cart to his place after placing items in the cart.
True, true, true,
Yeah,
true. Great observation.
yeah, yeah,
Great observation. It's dude like, and it's about civic courtesy more than anything else.
yeah,
It is about recognizing कि अगर मैं यहाँ छोड़ दूंगा तो किसी को तो लेके जाना पड़ेगा वापस.
yeah. It's just very basic honesty.
Yeah,
No, leave the toilet clean for the person who comes after you. It's as simple as that.
it's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
and that
that
up.
the I think it's called the golden rule, na? Ki, treat others the way that you
Yeah,
would like to be treated.
yeah, yeah.
And then I think there's a silver rule,
So
which is
yeah,
don't treat
don't do.
others
Yeah.
the way you wouldn't want to be treated. And I feel like the second one's slightly more effective because
Yeah, yeah,
you might
negative.
treat others differently based on your kinks and fetishes.
But none of these systems took the caste system into accounts. Working it doesn't apply here because you
It's
don't
just,
consider other people equal to yourself. No, so you can't progress only.
yeah.
Lazy Panda sent us another super chat saying, "My last resort to make money is to become a Baba." Yeah, yeah, that is my plan B also. In fact, I think I'm already halfway there. There are so many Babas, dude. Jo abhi, because of the internet, you're getting to see them, but then locally they are huge. But
Hmm.
outside the district, nobody knows them. No? That guy jiska stampede hua. If you saw the
Yeah,
news
that's
in
true.
UP,
That's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
he's huge. They can't touch him, dude. He's that big.
Yeah. No,
And
and the first time I heard, like, that's the thing, right? Like, so many people have shown up, but like I mean, at least I heard of him for the first time in the newspaper. Like, you don't even realize the silos in which people exist. Na? Ki
yeah, yeah.
either,
I was I still am technically part of a book exchange club
oh, yeah?
in Mumbai. Yeah, yeah. Because isn't it the nicest thing, when you exchange a book, it's like no cost is incurred, yet you're passing on something so valuable to somebody else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The meetups are not as frequent now, but there's a good vibe to it. Like people genuinely like uh, what they were doing, and there was no one-upmanship. It is just like, everybody was they were just happy to be there. So very
Dude, there was I think there still is. Came across on my Instagram. There's people doing this Juhu book club or book meet or something like that, where it's literally they on one weekend afternoon they all go to Cafe Azmi Park
yeah,
with their books and then they just read.
they just read, yeah.
And you can or cannot choose to interact, but you can isolate yourself in public, which is nice.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
nice.
and hopefully not too many men trying to get numbers of women because they're always there. You read this quote once that life is just a series of obstacles keeping you from reading the book you want to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
100,
I
100,
often feel that, like, the day doesn't end only, something like that keeps popping up. Then when you're sleeping, like, okay, now I can read something, but at the cost of, like,
that,
delaying.
At the cost of, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is, I have begun to, in retrospect, realize that when you're younger, you have so much more time that you didn't use in any respectable way,
Yeah.
right? And now
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the days shrink, the
They
free
should.
time
Yeah.
shrinks.
Yeah.
It just yeah, it becomes like you have to look at the book and look at the number of pages, and then actually do a budgeting of your life कि मैं
Yeah.
ये कितने time में खत्म करूंगा, and is it
Yeah.
worth it?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that way. After 35, so you should be in countdown mode only,
Yeah,
because mathematically it is countdown. And you ought to then take out all distractions from your life. Now, I often think of it this way, that on your deathbed, how sad will it be when you recount all the countless hours that you pissed away on Instagram? Like not hours, days, months, if you
days,
add
days,
up
days.
just the time,
Yeah.
and you can't get it back at that point. No, but it is still so potent a drug right now that you can't unsee it. It's just
Yeah, and then the next best thing you can do is you can then sort of shape your algorithm to make it slightly more interesting. Okay, like, instead of just watching endless miles of crap, you can, like, for example, like, I done this. I have to do this every few months, because like your algorithm understands it for a little while, then goes like, bro, ye kya kar raha hai tu, and then it goes back to. So
acha.
I'd found like these. I started liking quotes and stuff like that. So there are a lot of those would start popping up on my
Yeah,
feed,
yeah.
which was a good sort of thing. Like my Twitter, I rather like it. Like it's now cleaned up to one good degree. कि इतना चीज को you have to go and click not interested, block, mute. Why are you showing me? Report. Just
अच्छा, ये सब करना पड़ेगा.
you
Shit.
have to do it, yeah.
Okay.
And you have to also
Sorry,
then. Hmm,
sorry to all the booty models on my homepage. I'll have to report you now.
it's not your fault.
Yeah, it's not you, it's the algorithm.
Hmm.
SM is saying that in Germany there are book exchange stations. It is just a cupboard in a public place where you have your books and just pick up books that you like and you can leave it
Super.
back. I saw some of this in Australia also. Just kept out in the open, and you want something, take it. Actually, it's a neighborhood library of sorts. So pick up a book and put your own book there if you want to, like pass
Yeah.
it around.
Like, one thing I wanted to do, Puneet, was, and this is purely because I live in Mumbai, and Mumbai flats are not designed for you to be a reader. Because physical books take so much space,
Yeah,
and real estate is expensive.
yeah.
So what I wanted to start doing was, just bringing whatever books I'm done with to the show, and whoever wants to take the books can take it.
Oh, great.
I want to start doing this.
That
It's been an
that's great.
idea in my head for a long time. I should start probably doing it from
A-
the next whatever.
And you got like a full shelf full of books that you're ready to part with. Yeah.
I I got too many. I got too many. And
Because
the
you're
thing is,
also a
I can't
hoarder,
get.
no? You're a
I'm
hoarder
a hoarder.
also.
I'm a,
Yeah.
and to be honest, hoarding books, of all the things you can hoard, hoarding books is probably the best thing you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because um, a lot of good books, they have that same quality that good art does, where when you access it at a later date, the content seems to change. And what I mean by that is the content, in the sense, the
The
what you
con
get out of it
out of it. Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
So it reshapes a little
Yeah.
bit. And I've always found it like it's the best thing, where like you go back to a book because something reminded you of it, and you go back to it, and then
And
it's a
you
whole
also
new
grown
book.
as a person, right?
You've also grown as a person, so you can
Yeah.
extract more out of that thing. So, or less, as sometimes it tends to happen. So
I never read. Have you ever reread a book?
I tend not to. I reread it in parts. Like I'll
Huh.
bring out oh, I want to read this section or
Yeah.
whatever. But I
Yeah.
don't read anything. I've never been that person who, oh, this is my favorite book, I've read it 7 times. I've never been that person, because
Yeah.
I'm very greedy about new books. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
finite time.
You do something new. Yeah.
Yeah, I have finite time. I want to read something else. And then when something reminds me, I'll go back and be like, okay, yeah, this section in this book was really good.
When you
But
mentioned internal monologue, no, like the first thing that came to my mind was Catcher in the Rye, because no other book I read has a dash stronger monologue, internal monologue, which is represented, and it stays with you. So if you read this,
it's a
it's a
voice.
voice, yeah, it's a voice, and it's so
It's a voice.
distinct. And I have never
Yeah.
been that sort of no teenager in distress, but yet somehow it makes sense.
And I think that is the other thing about books, that I think it really is something like we lose something. They are, I feel, at least so far, even in comparison to movies, I feel like books are more powerful empathy machines. Like,
Mm.
you more than like you root for characters in movies, but you feel characters in books, is what I have experienced. And
Yeah.
this might be biased completely as a reader more than like a movie person. But what I mean by empathy machine is that, like, the really good authors, they're able to put you in the hearts and the minds of characters that you a clearly are not, and b may not even like, and C will maybe never even encounter in your life,
Mm.
but you will be able to understand just one very basic fact. And it's literally this fact in different versions again and again, that every single person you encounter has value, has aspirations, has a whole interior, makeup,
Mm.
just like yours.
Mm.
Not better, not worse, just like yours.
Yeah.
So if you do not understand that fact, then you don't understand people.
Mm. Mm. Just just saying, just general empathy, it can bring out, because you understand somebody else's life so completely,
Yeah,
yet being so, which you don't even in person. When you interact with them, you have your little petty fights with them, but you never go
yeah.
that far in order to
And
understand.
you'd be surprised as to why people behave in the ways they do. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised their motivations, their the place that they're coming from, the reason that they might be acting silly is not because they're stupid, but because of a whole bunch of other very
Yeah.
complicated things. So, uh, which is why,
Mm.
like, you can't. I at least have this problem where I don't. And I think it's a problem where I don't get angry very fast on people.
Which people take as being a pushover or weakness, which,
Uh,
but
and by the way,
yeah.
sometimes it is. Sometimes you need to get a point across or whatever. Like, it's a tool that you need in your
Mm.
social this thing. But I just find it very difficult because I always start that with that one premise: ki what is going on that side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you begin with that premise, it's very difficult. You'll always understand them, and then you'll
Yeah.
never be able to confront them properly.
Yeah, yeah, it's a problem I have as well. And then I also sometimes feel that being angry just as a state to be in is so expensive to your body and your mind that I don't want to spend it on this petty conflict. It's just not
Yeah.
worthy of no of that. Uh,
And you also realize that people who are like chronically angry, right?
hmm,
You also begin to realize when you look at them that it's actually a pretty sad way of
yeah,
life. Like,
yeah,
it's not a happy.
yeah.
Like, there was one C.S. Lewis line where he said, "Ki, I spent some time with anger, and then she told me that her real name was grief."
Hmm, hmm.
And that, like, is a like the people who are angry all the time, they're not. It's not coming from. It's like it's some sadness that is being expressed very poorly.
In one of the videos, no, Sadhguru Sadji, he
Hmm.
says that no, when you're angry, you're not yourself. No, you are in is temporary insanity. No, that's
Hmm.
why you use those words. I was mad at him. But literally, you were mad for those few minutes. So it's okay to be mad once in a while, but if you're mad every day for some time,
Chronically.
yeah,
Chronically.
chronically, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
then this worrisome.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Ashutosh saying, Guruji, your thoughts on Vikshit Bharat budget. While that is not the topic of discussion today, we will get to it at some point. Thank you, Ashutosh. Dude,
I just
usually,
posted something about it.
huh?
And my perspective was literally this. I just said, ki, like, I found the budget to be very consistent because just like the other budgets, I didn't seem to understand this one either. Okay. And
Yeah,
and I'm coming to it purely linguistically because it's the jargon that throws you off. Like
yeah.
it really hurts. Like I was trying to understand it, trying to read it, trying to figure what it is. And when you read something like, whatever, non-deficit, whatever, right? Like it'll be
Mm.
some capital, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you just go like, this affects everybody, but it's understood by very few people.
It's deliberate. No, हफ्ता वसूली हो रहा है बस. You couch it in all these fucking technicalities. हफ्ता ही तो वसूल रहा है venture.
And my solution was, I feel like let the experts make the budget, but let it be presented by someone who everyone understands, like Jackie
Yeah.
Shroff. वीडियो वो बजट का क्या है ना.
Oh, by the way, that guy, dude, he's so succinct with his words, and yet he makes the big points.
अरे अमेजिंग.
Na?
सांस ले बिड़ू सांस ले. Like, come on. बिड़ो एनवायरनमेंट का ख्याल रखने का, स्पाइडर प्लांट लेने का. लाइक यस इट्स ऑल करेक्ट. ब्रो ही बाय द वे ही हैज अ सेल्फ अवेयरनेस. एक कोई वीडियो था उसका, वो बोलता है कि
Hmm.
लाइक आई नो कि पब्लिक मेरे को मजाक में लेती है, मैं ऐसा हूँ वगैरह वगैरह,
हाँ.
बट जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो वो सही है, तो ठीक है, जो मानना है मान लो. दैट इज दैट इज ट्रू फिलोसफी, डूड.
Usually we ask our guests at the end, but since the topic of the day is what it is, and since it's you, I think we can ask you even right now, like, is there a reading list to share with people? Because we get a lot of queries every time कि if you have a reading list, share with us. तो तेरे को भी आता रहेगा ऐसा
या.
कि not only are you a real writer, you also have specs. So, so you're legit bibliophile. So, because me, if you just look at me, you wouldn't take me for a 6 foot guy working out every day. Who's not your regular book reader. But you fit the bill. So, do you get those queries?
I do, and I'm very I don't know how to put it. I wouldn't say
Hmm.
embarrassed, but I just
Hmm.
find it a little. I feel like every reading list is very personal.
It's revealing.
Yeah, it's very personal and it doesn't apply to everybody. And you
Yeah.
look at it and you'll be like, why should I read this or care or whatever? Like, and those are my interests. So it doesn't have to apply to everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, and by the way, the other problem of this question has always been that you are filled with knowledge and all the books you've read until someone asks you, what are you reading?
Yeah.
Then it just gets abandoned. Then you have no idea. Then you like, I can't prescribe anything. I'll tell you what we can do.
Hmm.
We can go through some of the books I'm reading right now instead of
Yeah.
a comprehensive
Sure.
list of any
That
kind.
also works. Yeah.
We'll just do that. But before that,
Uh,
before we get into like just book discussion and stuff,
uh,
we were talking about this before we
uh,
came online,
yeah.
and I think it's worth bringing it up. So I was telling Puneet ki I came across this tweet, okay, of this guy who had tweeted this. He said ki, in the early years of EA Games, the video game company,
Hmm.
they used to give, so back in the day, it used to be physical media, right? You used to get a CD,
Yeah.
and along with the CD, you used to get a booklet. And at the back
Ah.
of the booklet,
Yeah.
they used to give you a reading list, a bibliography of all the books that the creators read in creating this game. So, to give you an example, the creators of SimCity, right, the game where you had to simulate a city, the creators of that game had read a whole bunch of stuff on architecture, urban planning, on people and their interaction with society. There were books on philosophy. There's just see if you can find this online. I
Hmm.
unfortunately can't pull it up right now, but there's this beautiful reading list of SimCity. And the point that this person was making who tweeted it said ki back in the day, the games and stuff used to be slightly richer because the people who were creating it were pulling from all these different sources, right? So you had new ideas coming into a new medium, ideas from different mediums coming into this thing. What tends to happen over time is that the people who work in video games want to make video games like other video games that they've created, not other books, movies, media, etc. So basically, it becomes replicas. Like people who make movies want to
Like
make
a
movies like the
formula which is
movies.
working, so you keep repeating it. Aisa.
No, not just that. It's more benign than that. It is more. It is literally that people grow up on that medium and they say, "I want to work in this medium," and then
Okay.
all they know is stuff from that medium. And
Mm.
the point is that if no matter what work you do, try to find influences outside of it, because that will be what will make this even more original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than just replicating what you've seen before.
I'm sure the very complex strategy games are still being made by people, or do they just bring in consultants to iron out the edges? Very
I
because
I I think a lot of good video games, they are very rich. Like just think about, for example, you want to create whatever Red Dead Redemption,
Mm.
right? The cowboy game. Just the
Yeah,
fact that you have to research on period clothing,
yeah,
on landscapes of the time, of what would a bartender talk like that
yeah,
is research, that is serious hardcore research, right? So, and I feel like people, the art that does that kind of stuff, that puts in that 2 minutes of thought, what would, that research that goes into it. Like, for example, you'll notice it very visibly with for example, a Christopher Nolan film, right? Where
Mhm.
he went to Interstellar, he goes to a physicist or whoever in MIT and says, what would a black hole look like? And then they
Yeah,
put it together, and it was the
yeah.
most realistic black hole ever put on camera, whatever it was.
Mhm.
So, uh, so the point is like, when you do that stuff, your thing benefits, your art benefits. When you decide, ki, look, I'm going to take that extra, I'll call this guy from MIT and explain that in my very big mainstream popular movie, I want this extremely accurate rendition of science. That's what makes it amazing.
Yeah. When you have the inclination and then the bandwidth to do it like Nolan does. Uh, Most production we see how it happens is like just so commercial. No, that you just plug and play and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like it also comes down to like how much the producer wants, because these are not cheap things, right? Like
Yeah,
ideally, if you look at it from economics, then you want to get the most money for the least amount of money
yeah,
put.
yeah.
So
It's such a sad
why,
way to do anything actually.
yeah, why do MIT? That'd be
Yeah,
तो
I
एक गूगल कर, गूगल ब्लैक होल फर्स्ट इमेज चिपका दे.
I used to play even before that era when because of course Guruji is older. I used to play the cartridge 8-bit and then
Oh,
16-bit era. So when it jumped from 8 to 16-bit, it was like, oh wow, the graphics are so nice. And which was just shit only like Contra and all these games, no? And they would
that
get stuck
was
in
that was a real using your imagination
yeah. Because you could
to fill
count the
in.
pixels on the screen,
Yeah.
count the fucking pixels. And I think back then also I was playing just because the other kids were playing. So it's like you were trying to blend in. I remember they're never really enjoyable because they're so difficult to clear each level. And I'm like, मैं क्यों इतना मेहनत क्यों कर रहा है इसके ऊपर? Not to clear a particular
Yeah, yeah,
game,
yeah.
right? And back then there was no memory and all. The moment you switch it off, your game is gone. Then again start from zero again.
Dude,
So
and the other thing about video games, huh, they've cracked that thing. Have you seen this the flow state ka chart? Have you seen this?
uh, uh,
So there's this thing called flow state. Oh, you
uh,
love this. Go, please, after this
I
conversation,
know
go look
flow
it up.
state. I know flow
Huh.
state in
Huh.
general, but there's a
So
chart I didn't know.
so the thing is, basically flow state is boredom and sorry, time and effort,
Okay.
or something like that. Basically,
Yeah.
there's effort and there's one more thing.
Yeah.
And if it's too little effort, then you get bored. And if it's too hard, then you get disheartened. So
Uh,
there's this beautiful middle zone, which
Goldilocks
is the flow
zone.
state.
Yeah. Uh,
And to the video games, they've perfected that flow state. Ki
hmm.
it keeps you, it's above your current ability, but beneath something that's so difficult.
Uh,
So you keep trying, कि मैं अभी कर लूंगा, and you're so absorbed. Like people lose days. I'm one of those people. I
तू
don't
खेलता
have
है?
I consciously do not have a PlayStation or any kind of like video game in
Yeah,
my house
yeah,
because I know that I will lose myself to it. Dude, I had downloaded Football Manager on my phone recently and I said ki,
yeah.
oh, I have like an hour, let me play it.
No,
I played
no,
it
it'll take
for
over your
like
entire day.
3 days straight and then I had to delete it.
Yeah, yeah. Is that good?
Yeah,
Or
is that
that,
good?
or it's sort of like it's a hack into your mind which they perfected.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and nothing comes close to that kind of like, because there's a sense of achievement also, right? Which you're not
Yeah.
getting from any other media.
Yeah, so beyond this sort of Sega wala era, no, there was Sega was the company, right? SEGA,
Yeah,
Sega.
Sega. Yeah.
Yeah, beyond that era, I never played any game because it just didn't appeal to me. Still doesn't know matter how great the graphics and the story, because it's all virtual, right? So in my mind, there is no value of it. But then maybe that's how I think, like, because it means nothing, like in the real world or in my overall pursuit in life. It adds nothing. It just takes away time.
I mean, by the way, so I have a friend who said this very crazy thing to me recently.
Hmm.
He said that I don't like watching fiction or like watching movies or anything because
Yeah.
why would I add to the stress in my life?
Hmm.
What a
Stress.
strange, but yeah, because he's like and when you start thinking about it, all movies are basically putting characters into jeopardy and then getting them out
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
figuring out what happens, whatever
Yeah.
happens to them. Either
Yeah.
they succumb to it or they triumph. So he's like, why would I want to do that? I don't want other people's stress in my life. Like, मेरा खुद का बहुत है. And I was like, that is such a crazy perspective. I never thought about it because
Uh,
that, for me, that I didn't think about it as stress. I thought about it as that was an enjoyable, sort of like
mm,
because at the end of the movie or whatever it is, like you've gone through a emotional journey, which was in some way satisfying,
yeah.
cathartic,
Yeah.
all
So
sorts of different emotions,
maybe
right?
for you it was like vicariously living those emotions,
Exactly.
like you do with horror also in a way.
Exactly.
But for our friend, he was going through that shit already.
Everything was horror. Everything was horror.
Yeah,
Everything.
that's interesting. Remember what I told you about fiction was that ki, like I'm either I've grown out of it or I don't have the patience for it anymore, because I think after you learn script writing, no, it's like you peeked behind the curtain and you saw how the strings work. And now you're like, अरे ये तो अभी थोड़ा इसकी गांड मारेगा, फिर कोई मर जाएगा, फिर वापस आएगा. I mean, they're playing with your emotions in a way. It sort of killed the magic a little bit for me. And beyond that, the thing is, I feel that I have empathy. Sure, I don't have sympathy anymore. For human beings in general, because we fucked over the entire planet completely, and we are still depressed at the end of it. So you don't get my sympathy anymore. Empathy, sure, I understand where you're coming from, but look at the world you created, how unjust, how unfair, how violent it is. And then for me to get involved in your petty little romantic struggle or whatever your power struggle is like, नहीं मैं इसमें 2 घंटा नहीं डालने वाला है.
No, I think about it very differently. Like for me, uh, it is like a joy. Like, and I think it is
Hmm.
completely about vicarious living, or
Hmm.
it is the fact that like, uh, okay, I'll tell you, different things do different things for me. So, for
Hmm.
example, movies are all about. I want to be. Uh, I'm a very good audience that way. Like I'll buy whatever you're saying. I'll buy
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
I'll suspend my thing until it becomes jarring
yeah,
or until the end of the thing, and then
yeah. Benefit of the
retrospectively
doubt you will give them. Benefit of doubt.
I'll give them the benefit of
Yeah.
doubt. With books, what I really like is like the really great books.
Hmm.
Not all books, obviously. No, select amazing books. What they tend to be is like they're almost like a simulation of a life, right? So you get to see, and the skill of a really great writer is this: he he or she can create this character, take them on a path, have them make choices. And the real skill is how accurate those choices are to real life, like the consequences of those choices are
Yeah.
to real life.
Yeah.
So if they can depict that in a sort of like a honest, truthful way, right? Like, oh, this, you do these choices and this is the outcome. Good,
So
bad, ugly, whatever it is.
are you saying it should be relatable yet surprising at some level?
No, I don't even, I'm not even going that far. I'm just saying that for me, the really good books are instructive. Okay. These are like really good books are, they tell you that without you having to live those choices,
Yeah.
you can learn from these characters that XYZ करने से ABC होता है. And those are the
Mm,
really good ones. Okay. Not
mm,
all the books, but for that matter, it's so good. It's, and I do feel like there are some truths best laid out in fiction, not just non-fiction.
yeah, I remember you had told me that what you're feeling is just means that you run out of good fiction to appeal to you, so you're into non-fiction right now. But then even non-fiction will hit a limit where it cannot go beyond that. So then the fiction has to take over again.
I've
And
always
and
gone in those cycles, like
hmm,
they they because with non-fiction also, eventually, like, you begin to realize, okay, like, this is information, and then if you put it through narrative and
yeah,
people, it becomes more of a sort of wisdom sort of thing, like or
hmm,
at least a more tangible realization of the thing.
hmm, hmm,
And the beauty is that what I found is that good writers never spell out what they're trying to tell you. They never write it in like
yeah,
one
yeah,
clean, clear. The moral of the story is
yeah,
right. They will never tell you that. They will just show it to you in
mm,
characters and choices. And
yeah.
if you can understand it, then you're well off.
Sanskar Tiwari has sent us a super chat saying, "What a great combo this is! Wow, forever a fan. Was at the TIS Uncensored show. Magical. Thank you, Kautuk and Guruji, for organizing it and inviting Kautuk now. Kya baat? He was there
Arey,
this Sunday, I
yes,
guess.
Sanskar. Yes, yes, yes. He was there.
Yes.
He was there.
Ah, okay.
Sanskar has
So
also been part of a lot of storytelling sessions that I do. So yeah,
on your lives.
yeah, he's a
Okay.
long time uh, listener.
Listener. Ah, that's the word.
Correct.
Okay. Fellow seeker.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Uh, for people who are not aware, TIS has finally been putting out these bangers of live shows now that they're all together for some time in the same country. And there are two shows to go. One is Bangalore, one is Chennai. That's in August.
yeah.
If you're
10th and
there,
11th.
10th and 11th, we'll put the link in the description. In fact, Jamie, if you could put the link in the chat right now. So we did the biggest show yet this Sunday in Mumbai on a very rainy day, and the Bangalore one is going to be even bigger. So it was mad fun. I was there myself, and all four of them are there. Baba was there, Adar was there, Thakur was there, and just the energy, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh man. And I think, like, for again, like, to talk about narrative, that particular day, right?
yeah,
We came in from Ahmedabad. It took 3 hours to land because we kept circling was the clouds. So and then you begin to realize that Mumbai is sunk. I've had multiple conversations with Puneet where I'm on the phone. I'm like, bro, ये तो बहुत ही खराब situation लग रहा है. क्या करना है? You're on the cusp of, like, you're like, will people come?
yeah,
How many will come? Will they be up for a show? And after all those doubts, when you have that show, that is what triumph feels like.
yeah. In fact, Kautuk was looking at Twitter and he told me, Puneet, all the arterial roads are blocked in Mumbai. And I told
Yeah.
him, people who use the word arterial roads don't come for stand up. So some people couldn't make it, but we had a lot of them. And in fact, when I did the first announcement from backstage, and I just said, thank you for making it on this auspicious day, and it just burst at that time only. So, because even they felt like the sense of triumph. We fucking we made it, and the show is happening.
Oh
Right?
man, and we're so glad we did that show because dude, like, the reason also to do these shows is that you realize uh like when you're putting out content, you don't, at some point, you don't fully realize, it becomes routine. And the shows, when people tell you, like, when they meet you and they tell you the the impact of what you're doing, that's when it resets in your mind. Oh yeah, you know what, this is why we're doing it, this is what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah. ER Exclusives has said, I am the girl who video called from Spain trying to catch this live in Berlin.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. There was a group of people who had come holding one phone. And on this phone was this person. And she was on a beach. And she was like, I couldn't make it for the show. That was the whole conversation. It was crazy.
She's there throughout the show, like via
I no,
video
I don't think
conference.
she was there throughout the show, but she was there for
Yeah.
the meet and greet through WhatsApp.
Okay.
Crazy.
The link has been shared in the chat.
Yeah.
Bangalore and Chennai, and hopefully one or two more cities in August. Let's see what we can do. Uh, Anay is saying other avid readers in the comedy circuit are Rohan Joshi and Kumar Varun.
That is true.
Yeah.
Both of them are also very well read.
ये तो कुमार वरुण क्या सिर्फ encyclopedia पढ़ता है क्या पूरा दिन for his quizzes? What does he read?
No, he reads a bunch of stuff. Like
Hmm.
we were having some conversations. He was reading,
Hmm.
like he reads a lot of like non-fiction history, a lot of that stuff. Like so
Hmm.
that's his thing.
And
Rohan Joshi is a big science fiction fan, from what I know.
uh, did you have like a sci-fi phase yourself? Because this is a
Never,
phase usually.
never,
नहीं
never. I
नहीं.
never, like I never, and I think I never got into it because of the science part. Like it was a,
Yeah.
it was just a psychological barrier which I could
Ah.
never overcome. I
Ah.
enjoy, which is why I enjoy watching a science fiction movie where like
Yeah.
you don't have to
Yeah.
read the word for the thing that they're showing you.
Yeah. 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 So that's a different kind of nerd, probably.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you're okay with Kindle as a thing?
I have gotten, I was forced to get used to it, and then now
Yeah.
I've felt it's not like, I mean, it's got its own benefits, and the benefits are mostly in sort of like you're able to keep track of your books slightly better, keep track of the stuff you've highlighted. It's all there with you all the
Yeah,
time.
that's what it
You
is.
know,
Although
that
I
stuff
never
is,
gone back to my highlights, but I still do it just in case. If I want to
yeah,
share it with somebody.
yeah. I, like I've gotten, I have actually used the highlights pretty much
Hmm.
a lot
Hmm.
since I've gotten them because uh, I'll tell you a few books. Should we get into the books part?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, one book, for example, that I spent a lot of time highlighting. And by the way, this book does not apply to everybody. In fact, applies to very few people probably watching this.
Hmm.
But it's a book called, let me just find it. I'm on my Kindle only at this point.
Yep.
Uh, it's called All Joy, No Fun.
Yeah, it's.
And
Hmm.
it is about parenting.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So,
then, yeah, very few people, even statistically.
All
Yeah.
Joy, No Fun.
No fun.
Okay.
Huh.
And the title comes from the way that a parent had described what it felt like to be a parent. It was all joy, no fun. And so the book is very interesting because the writer was like, as a parent, I realized that when you go to a bookstore, when you look up books for parenting, there's 100,000 books on how to be a parent to a child and how, parents affect children.
Yeah.
But there's next to no books on how children affect parents.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, what is
Hmm.
the effect that children have on parents and their lives and all that stuff? So, that's what the book is about, right? Found myself highlighting a lot of stuff. So, one of the things was what I started the stream with. She says, back in the day, kids used to have economic value. You had kids because for all the other reasons also, but they had economic value. After a point in time, you put them to work and they earned money for the house. And that was a real thing.
Yeah.
But over time, and I think the 70s was that crisis point, and this is all, by the way, in the West.
Yeah.
Um, in the 70s, they had this flip where children became emotionally priceless, economically useless.
So it
So you
starts with the
put,
US in the 70s. Is that it?
yeah, so people start putting all their hopes and dreams and aspirations into the children, but and they keep them coddled and like this thing.
Uh,
So it's a very interesting, like there's a bunch of stuff. I can't go through all the stuff I've highlighted, but it's a very interesting, eye-opening book on some of the things that um, that people that very interesting things that interesting, I would say, nuggets of information about how kids affect parents. So uh,
Does it feel like that finally now there's something in your life which is bigger than yourself finally? Because even when you're with somebody romantically, still, like you're still this one person against the other in juxtaposition. But when the child comes, is he now the biggest thing in your life? He or she?
definitely, in the sense that like nothing in your life will come close to the responsibility that you feel. Like the sheer simple, like it's very, very, like you can reduce it down to it is now your responsibility to keep this person alive,
Yeah,
stripped of everything else.
yeah,
Upbringing and all comes next,
yeah,
but that first responsibility, you are in charge of this person's life,
yeah.
right? You don't
Mm,
feel that on a day-to-day basis, and in extraordinary circumstances you feel that, but with a child you feel that every day, and like
Yeah,
every minute of every day,
yeah.
that
You're
that
not going bungee jumping now just on a whim.
yeah. I have, I had a bit about this, I'll tell you about it off this thing, but
Uh,
your priorities get slightly recontextualized. Your the way you look at life, the way you want to think of life changes slightly, for sure. I mean, and if it didn't, it would be worrying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's research which says that the things that give you the most fulfillment in life are never fun in the here and now.
Yeah.
And number one on the list is parenting.
Oof.
So
By the
when you're going through it is hell, but the joy is later. Because then later when people are asked, this is a long study, they said that yeah, they would do it all over again. But if you had asked them earlier, they would have said, "Get me out of
There was this other very interesting thing that people said that on looking back, they felt that the most fulfilling year of their life was the year 35.
it."
And when they recollected it, it was also the time of most stress, where a lot of people depended on you. You were a little uncertain about everything. You had to work really hard to establish yourself. You had to, you know, put out fires all the time, everywhere. But when they asked them, why do you feel then 35 was so amazing? It's because they said that it was because at that age, I felt the most valued, like the most, I was contributing the most to everything. You're contributing to your work, your society, your family, or everything. And that seems to be the most interesting thing. So, yeah, I mean, parenting does feel like that. Like, like, I wouldn't say it's no fun. There's a lot of fun, but it's also very mundane. And it's
Hmm.
very, you have to be able to absorb the repetition of it,
Yeah.
because the all the first few months and this thing, the child literally has like a few things that they're doing on repeat. They're sleeping, they're eating, they are doing their business, and you have to just keep track of that. So
Hmm.
and to be able to do that again and again and again is the you have to have the resilience, the patience, and the endurance to deal with that.
There are a couple of questions for you. Shavik Bakshi saying, Kautuk Salmon by biography when? And, and Shubham is asking, second-hand stories when? They're both pertinent questions.
So, let me answer the Salmon by biography first. um I feel like it will be a very lucrative deal should it come to me. But until then, the second hand stories thing, uh, hopefully this year, soon, in the next few
So you
months.
haven't been doing it for a while.
I haven't been doing it for a while because, like, also parenting has been like a big part of
Hmm.
it. Then the
Hmm.
test tour came
Yeah.
up, so we had to write it, shoot it, produce it. I mean, not shoot it, but write it, produce it, all of that stuff. I'm also working on personal stand up, getting back to doing a lot of that stuff. So, and the thing is that secondhand stories, to do it well, requires time and patience. Like, you need to spend time reading through books and articles and putting it together and then getting to it. So I don't want to rush it. I want to do it a little slowly, but it will hopefully will come soon.
We have a suggestion from, is it QA? Is that the, or is it OA? OA is the name. I said, please suggest. This is, I guess, this is a book. The book is called Free to Learn by Peter Gray. To all parents, it is about unschooling.
Hmm.
Basically, saying the worst thing you can do in today's day and age is send this kid to school. So that is the premise of the book, that no, homeschooling or a different kind of school is best. And so there's a lot of debates on this. No, the pedagogy, one word that keeps popping up. तो
Dude,
ये सब
the
तो
biggest
तेरा
reason to
बाकी है.
not send a kid to school are the school fees.
हाँ.
You don't even have to read the book to feel like homeschooling is better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, वही है कि like the only reason I would not do it is because I can't conceive of life as a homeschooled kid, and I
Yeah.
found that I enjoyed my school life. So
But now with like I don't know if there's a competition or just the kids are doing so many things in the school, the expensive ones, no, especially कि लग रहा है कि आदमी नासा में भी जाएगा और ट्रायथलॉन भी करने वाला है और साथ में वो आईआईटी भी जाएगा. एक ही तो बच्चा है, कितना जान लेगा उसका.
100% agree. Uh, like the thing in our generation used to be that you had to go for coaching classes ad nauseum.
Yeah, yeah,
Coaching class, hobby class. Uh,
yeah,
Now hobby class, I think both are still there, but now you have this added mix of IB school and
yeah.
extracurricular this and extracurricular that, and it's crazy. Okay, so should we go to next book?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, this one is sharp departure from uh, uh, a lot of the other books that we'll talk about. This is a true crime book. Okay,
Okay,
it's by a very legendary true crime writer called Anne Rule. Okay,
okay,
and this is the book that kicked it off for her. She became like a very famous writer after this, but this was her first book. It's called The Stranger Beside Me. Okay.
okay. Yeah, it
Now,
sounds
Puneet, the
familiar. Yeah.
story is this. Okay. This is from like a short version, short
Huh,
second-hand story from the book.
huh.
So, in the 1970s or thereabouts, 70s, Anne Rule is working in a crisis hotline number. Okay. In a place that deals with emergencies and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
And she's working the night shift in this crisis hotline place. And it's a very, obviously emotionally difficult place to work at because people are calling you at their absolute lowest point,
lowest point. Yeah,
right? So they're right as they've had these thoughts of, putting an end to everything, they have decided, let me just call this number. And it's your job to talk them off the ledge that they are, emotional ledge that they're standing on. So Anne Rule does this in the night. And in the place that she works, in the night shift that she's working at, there is obviously a colleague. And because they work these late nights in this place, they form a, and because the job is so emotionally taxing, they form a very close bond. They become very close friends.
yeah,
She exchanges bits of her life with him, he exchanges bits of his life with her, and
yeah,
they actually form a pretty nice friendship. Now, this person that she was working with, he was also very good. Uh, he was very good at his job. When people used to call in, he used to talk them through very nicely.
his hit
And
rate was higher than her.
yeah, he was very good at his
Does
job. Like
does this
genuinely.
job have targets कि कितना लोग को बचाया? Because
So
it's a clear percentage, no? You can.
you can see.
Yeah.
So now the twist is this.
Hmm.
While she was having this, friendship with this guy, while they were working at this place, women were being murdered in the city. And it would only be years later that she would find out that this colleague of hers, he was the infamous Ted Bundy.
Really?
Yeah.
But this is a fiction book, right? Or this is
This
actually
is
happened?
real.
This is the reality of Ted Bundy.
This is so that's the crazy part. She writes, ki, look, I'm writing this book now. It's about Ted Bundy and his crimes. But the craziest thing that I have to deal with in writing this book is that I am Ted Bundy's friend. And the Ted Bundy I knew, I didn't think was capable of all these things. But now I know that he was. And the thing I cannot reconcile within myself, and I do not know how else to put it, but for all the people that he killed, I have seen him save just as many.
And
What a crazy.
when you first revealed Ted Bundy, the thought that came to my mind was that he could trace the victims from the helplines. And then he would go there and kill them himself because he knew that ऐसा नहीं था. It just
नहीं,
happened to
ऐसा
be
नहीं
his
था.
job.
ऐसा नहीं था.
ऐसा नहीं.
He had, he had a work-life balance.
Yeah. Oh man, so then this is a completely different part of his life, not
This
connected to the
exactly,
killings.
exactly. And she's like, I don't know how to. She's literally
Reconcile the
written,
two.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's written about her moral conundrum as well. Ki,
yeah,
I am his friend. Like when he was in jail or he had just come out or something like that, she had met him for coffee and his crimes were well known at this point in time. And she was like, it just tells you that you do not know the person. It's difficult sometimes to know who the
so
real
this
person
is
is.
just about psychopaths, no? Because they can mirror any kind of emotion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it is, right? They
And yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I mean, like it is, but with psychopaths also, like, somewhere or the other, you would know, right? Ki this guy was particularly adept at having these two very different sides. And she's like, I have, I never saw the face of Ted Bundy that his victim saw,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Uh, so crazy.
For
Absolutely.
so,
It's a wild. And by the way, sorry, Puneet, just to finish this, I like horror as a genre. I really
yeah,
enjoy horror
yeah,
as a genre. But I do feel that nothing in horror comes close to what exists in reality.
yeah, yeah,
What exists in this book is the real horror. It's
yeah,
truly scary stuff. It's like
yeah,
wild.
yeah, absolutely. I think for somebody who does not believe in the supernatural, a psychopath is the closest thing you will get to pure evil
Yeah. I like
because
a psychopath who uh
follows
turns
through
to
on his
murder.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because
Um,
like what you were saying earlier about trying to empathize with everybody and hence not getting angry, with a psychopath that doesn't apply, no, because they don't have any real emotions of their own. They just mirror.
a- and they prey on people like me. कि कि तेरे में बहुत एम्पैथी है, चल आजा आजा, कम, we'll go camping in the woods.
The super chat from Ashish
Hmm.
who said, Kautuk sir point on living in the present is right. 2 months ago, I was super depressed with reading Peter Frankopan. ये कौन है, dude?
I don't know.
I took some of the savings and went on a 10-day trip and taking it one day at a time, and it seems to have worked out for a friend. Well, great,
Oh
Ashish.
man, let's
But
see who Peter Frankopan
yeah,
is.
ऐसा कौन है जो तेरे को ज़्यादा डिप्रेस किया गुरुजी से?
Yeah,
This is
British historian. Oh, is this the guy
yeah,
who wrote Silk Road and all? Yes, I know this guy.
okay. So,
Silk
but
Roads.
why would it be depressing?
I don't know. I don't know. The Earth transformed. Is that what it is? Is that what depressed you? Please tell
Uh,
us. Don't
yes,
leave us in
Ashish.
suspense.
Yeah, 53-year-old Peter Frankopan. Okay.
Ah,
Uh, there is another message for you which says, because this I haven't read this book. So, question from Siddharth is saying, sorry, little off topic, but can you please share your opinion on the book Second Sex? Love your content, keep going. This is I heard of this book but never read it.
Simone de Beauvoir, I think this is.
It's about feminism, right? That's the book that sort of is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the
I haven't read
seminal.
it. I haven't read it. Yeah, it is. It is considered like a seminal thing.
Hmm.
But Bro, by the way, there was after this Bundy book only, I was doing some research on psychopaths, dude. It's such a crazy rabbit hole once you go into it. Uh, and the thing is that they will also tell you, the psychopaths themselves will tell you, कि there is no scope for reform for us, because वो है ही नहीं जो जो तू
उनका सिस्टम ही अलग है.
हाँ सिस्टम ही अलग है,
सिस्टम
ओएस ही
अलग
अलग है
है. या
कि
या
तू मैक पे विंडोज चला रहा है.
हाँ हाँ, वो they are different. There is this one theory I heard which blew my mind, which said that if psychopaths are so dangerous, no, what is the evolutionary reason for them being here, right? Because is it just a glitch in the system, or do they serve some purpose? And this was on Joe Rogan podcast of all places. The guest was saying this. He said probably the reason why the psychopaths are around us still and they've not been sort of no out of
Weeded out.
circulation, yeah, weeded out, is because who else will you go to in wars? No? Who will do the dirty work for you? Like, who will be part of your army, be a general, be to take up the charge, go and rape and plunder entire village, come home, have dinner, and go to sleep? Only a psychopath can do it. And once they
Or a
do it,
boss.
they have a pick of all the mating choices, and
Yeah,
and they propagate their kind
there's also
ahead.
that na कि there's a very popular, how true, how not, no one knows, but they tend to a lot of psychopaths tend to do very well in
Yeah.
careers as long as they're able to keep their
Yeah. No, there is
criminal
research on it. There is good research
tendencies.
on it. It
Yeah,
says that at least three times, no, three भी नहीं, like 20 to 30% higher incidence of psychopaths in top corporate positions than general population.
there you go.
So,
There
and
you
in
go.
politics too, I think it's even higher than that, because you can't survive, dude, without that. You can't survive in politics without having blood on your hands. A conscientious person is going to give up. You may start with the best intentions. You can be like Kejriwal. Through some movement, you ended up in a place where you can now be in politics. But to continue to be in politics, you will have to sort of unsee so many things, be party to so many things. Not a lot of it may not be making it to the news, but on your conscience is there, no?
Lot of compromises, a lot of yeah, just like things that would be against your whatever
Yeah. I was
morals.
since you've been to Amritsar yourself, no, in the Partition Museum, the
Mm.
section about the British guy who was
Dyer.
brought in to
No.
draw the map
Uh-huh.
of the partition, and because they suddenly decided to exit early, he said, "Jaldi karo." He had to draw the line of the partition as soon as possible. And
Yeah.
he said, "I'm sitting there trying to apply all the logic I can, but in my mind, I know whether I'll draw the line little bit here or little bit there. People are dying on either side. How do I
Mm.
reconcile with that?" And he fucking fell sick during the process because that the weight of carrying this was too much. And he submitted the map and he left for England, never looked back. He actually never checked the news also, because I knew that people are going to die. And you're essentially in that sort of position to a smaller extent, but I'm sure that arises when you're in politics. No, I do this or that, people are going to suffer, but you still do it because you have the power to, and you have to do
A
the
lot of
decision.
things are life and death, and
Yeah,
and whichever way you and a lot of things are not like you don't have the time or the luxury or the resources to weigh all the
yeah,
consequences, the
yeah,
philosophical
yeah.
weight of all of that.
वो सिर्फ अपन जैसा लोग कर सकता है. The sad book readers can do
Book
it
readers.
over a
Um,
hot cup of coffee.
one book that I think
Yeah.
Puneet is in your wheelhouse.
Hmm.
There's this book called by Alan Watts called "Become What You Are,"
Hmm.
a collection of Alan Watts's essays. So Alan Watts, for those of you who don't know, was a guy, British guy, I think,
Hmm.
who basically uh, discovered, not discovered, but like came across Eastern philosophies, religions, etc., and wrote about them for in English, translated them in English for
Yeah.
his readers, and
Yeah.
tried to explain it in simple terms, etc.
Yeah.
Very interesting book. This is a book of his essays. So, for example, there's a essay in this book called "The Finger and the Moon," where he
That,
makes this
yeah.
distinction between religion and God. And he says that um, religion is like a finger pointing at the moon, right?
Hmm.
Moon being God
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
virtue and all of those things,
Yeah.
morality. And he says that uh, religion is a finger pointing at the moon, and a lot of people look at the finger instead of the moon.
Yeah.
So um, it was a very interesting essay on like
Yeah.
on the fact that you don't need like meaning to live a moral life, right? You need the instruction that tells you how to do it, but you can then once you've understood it, you can live in your own sort of in your own way.
Hmm.
So it was a very interesting take on that sort of
His
philosophy.
videos are very popular on YouTube. I mean, of course, this guy passed away 60 years ago or something, Alan
Mm.
Watts. And I never really caught on to it much because whatever you were saying, I read already in like, in Krishnamurti or
In the
Eastern
original
philosophy,
form.
yeah, in general. But then more recently, I found out that he died of alcoholism. I'm like, what a great way to go. But the way he explains things is amazing. The simplicity and the English makes it more accessible to people who don't otherwise read Buddhism, say.
He keeps doing this other thing also, which is that he uses these metaphors to tell you that you cannot he has this other thing which is a line which says the menu is not the meal.
Hmm. Hmm.
So again, the teachings are
Yeah,
not the meat of the thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? So you have to read the menu and then eventually have the meal. So a great line again. The menu is not the meal. Um,
System is asking you what was the Bundy book called again?
it's
The
called it's by Anne Rule,
Hmm.
Anrule. The book is called The Stranger Beside Me.
Stranger Beside.
Yeah.
And Alan Watts, I'm sure there are multiple books, but which is the one that you were referring to?
Yeah, this one is called Become What You Are.
Become What You Are. They are like sort of collection of essays
Essays.
by Alan Watts.
Alan
All
Watts.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good place
Then,
to start.
then there is one book that I've been reading recently. I've passed it on to Puneet as well. This is a book called Debt. This
Yes.
is by David Graeber. David Graeber was an anthropologist.
Mm,
Um, and this book is very interesting because it's a book that is on the intersection point of anthropology, economics, and history,
mm.
right? And it tells you about the concept of debt. It starts with this great premise. It is that he says, ki, just think about what, the story that we've been told, na, ki at the beginning of money, there was barter. Right?
Yeah.
Before there was money, there was barter. I just think about what barter means for 2 minutes, and then you realize how illogical it seems, right? Ki,
Yeah.
uh, I have two pencils and I would like one horse. So it's like so he's like there has to be something more to it. And when he began looking at um so he looks at history, then he looks at anthropology in the way that like how people behave in different societies, and then he looks at economic history and puts it together in this brilliant book. One of the things I want to talk about is this. He has this great he has this anecdote, okay, the story in some book. I forget the name of the book that he's taking it from, but it's a great story. The story is this. Basically, there's a guy who has money, but he keeps taking debt. Okay. He has the money to repay it, but he'll still go to a person and take money from them. He'll then repay that person, go to a second person and take money from them. He'll repay that, go to a third person, but he'll always be in debt. So someone asked him that you have the money, then why do you live in debt?
Yeah.
He says, well, because when I have debt, there is no better well wisher in life than the person I've taken money from. That guy really wishes that I have a long life, that I prosper so that I
Yeah.
can repay him.
Yeah.
He's like, just for the good vibes, I take that.
It's so funny.
It's too funny. It's too funny. So,
I started reading this book, and like I told you before we started, that I couldn't sleep the first night I read it because the implications are so grave of what he's saying,
Hmm.
of what money has been throughout history and how we look at it now, and how the people in power want to, use it or portray it. It has such deep ramifications. Uh, the book, I mean, academically, sure, there's an argument that he's doing, but socially, the ramifications are so great. And he says that at one point in the book, he says that taxes probably started because they had to feed the army.
Hmm. Hmm.
And rather than giving supplies from the palace to the army, you just create taxes so that the exchange of money starts. And look at that and to Nirmala right now.
But
What
what
a
I
mess.
really liked about it was this other idea that he says ki there is economic debt,
Hmm,
but then there is also social debt.
hmm,
And it is the
hmm.
social debt that keeps us together,
Yeah,
right? It is the debt that keeps the bonds together. And what is that social debt? It is a debt that you will never be able to repay, right? It is the debt of you are where you are because of the people before you,
yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah,
right? And you have the responsibility to pay it forward and never expect anything back in return from a future generation, but pay it forward, create, do something that other people will benefit from, and let that be your debt serviced. So that idea I thought was so nice and so well
yeah,
put, and
yeah,
it was like just meaty.
yeah. It's powerful.
Yeah, that is a great book. There is another. Um, there's another book I was reading right now. I was reading this book by Tom Holland, not the guy who plays Spider Man. Historian Tom Holland.
Hmm,
He's written a book called Rubicon, which is about
hmm,
the fall of the fall of the Roman Republic.
hmm.
So there is a wonderful quote that I had highlighted that I should tell you from this book. Uh, One second. Yeah,
Says the triumph and tragedy of the Roman Republic. That's the book.
Republic. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So basically, the Romans had this sort of like rudimentary democracy and
Yeah.
republic and all of that stuff. They basically at some point realized that we're going to have this system where there will be two consuls, okay, who will, and we need two of them so that they'll keep each other in check.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we'll have this system, right? And then Julius Caesar came and budged out that whole idea. He's like, कि आज से emperor.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
एक छावा तुमच्या दादाचा.
so there's this great quote. It's by this guy called Sallust,
Ah,
who wrote this in a book called Histories.
hmm.
He wrote, and Puneet, this will this will be one of those. Oh,
Ah.
only a few prefer liberty. The majority seek nothing more than fair masters.
Oh no, Indian is dictator all over again.
Just one benevolent man who will
Yeah,
solve my life's problems.
yeah, fucking daddy issues, bitch.
So, so great, fun book. But I
So
found that this
it's a proper history book, is it?
is a proper history book.
Hmm.
But I would, at least what I found was this. I found this book nice and sort of like informative, but uh, not as engaging as this other book on the Roman Empire, which is called SPQR. That's the name
Hmm.
of the book.
Hmm.
SPQR.
Okay.
And this book is by Mary Beard. SPQR stands for Senatus Publicus K Republica. Okay, the Senate and the people of Rome. That's what the
Hmm.
tagline was at the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
It was there, up ki bar.
Hmm.
So, so
Baga.
yeah, it was there, Maga, correct.
Yeah.
So SPQR is the name of the book. Very, very lucid, very nicely like
Hmm.
put together, and very like conscious of like, oh, um, Like for example, dude, like the crazy things that you find out, uh, they are still discovering new things. Okay,
About the
about the
Roman
Roman
Empire.
Empire,
Hmm.
because you found the Colosseum, right? But then
Yeah.
when you looked inside the gutter of the Colosseum, you
Uh,
found all these food items. Why? Because much like today's public, right? Public जा रहा है स्टेडियम में,
uh,
उधर मैच देख रहा है और मस्त खा पी के सब उधर ही छोड़ के चला गया.
रफल्स का पैकेट मिला क्या वहां से?
So now they're finding all the food items that those guys were
Yeah.
consuming, which they had just thrown, which had gone into
Yeah.
the drain.
Yeah.
So they're finding all of that stuff now, and all of this crazy information about
Yeah.
Rome, and it's quite fun.
There's
Mm,
a super chat by Kamal Chalal. Let me get his name correct. Oh, sorry, Chahal. So Kamal Chahal has sent super chat from the Kingdom of Canada, and he's saying, Guruji, have you read Who Killed Karkare? What are your views on the whole conspiracy? Are you into conspiracies, dude?
yeah, I like reading them, and I
Uh,
like puzzling over them for some time.
uh,
But then a lot of it just feels like
Filtration.
denial.
Didn't-
It's the denial of reality.
Yeah, yeah. I will say
And
some of them have proven to be true, or if not true, they did point out a certain direction which was being hidden earlier. I mean, 9/11. I don't think how many people in US there's surveys that so many people believe it was an inside job. That they
yeah,
can't do nothing about it, but at least it started with conspiracies, no?
yeah, no, I mean, like the really good, like, for example, I'd done one secondhand story
Hmm.
on this. There was a, this was just misdirection. Okay. You can call it, like today you would call it a conspiracy theory or
Hmm.
some version of that.
Hmm.
But basically the Allied forces, they wanted to attack one region.
Hmm.
Okay. And they believe, and that region was very fortified.
Hmm.
So it was fortified by Germany and Italy. So they basically, to misdirect Germany and Italy, they found a dead body, put a uniform on him, and put these papers in the guy's pocket. And it looked like official documents that wrote about a imminent
Hmm.
attack on a
Hmm.
completely different area.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this message reaches Hitler, who always feared that the Allies were going to attack this Baltic region.
Yeah.
And so he goes, you know what, take all the troops and go there. So
Yeah.
they basically got Hitler to move all his stuff,
Yeah.
and they attacked this place, and they took, and it was very decisive victory. And all of it was done by this one corpse of this one guy.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's quite a crazy story. And like, so some of those, yeah, I mean, like, which is why I like reading about them, because they're wonderful stories. They're outstanding stories.
Ah.
When
Hmm.
you look into all the great conspiracy theories, now they're outstanding stories. Beautiful. Like the way that it's been, the connections. Like
Yeah.
I'd read one conspiracy theory of who is Jack the Ripper.
Huh.
And it's a 900-page book
Ooh.
where this guy's conclusion was that he was one pianist,
Huh.
because this pianist, all his tour dates coincided with murders or something like that, right? And Freemasons and this and that, like a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And what I found, I think that book kind of sums up all my feelings. Like when I read the book, I was very intrigued. I read it, it was very compelling. Every
Yeah.
chapter you felt like reading more.
Yeah.
But by the time you got to the end of it, it just felt a lot, because the really good conspiracy theory has no proof, and it hangs like a balloon in the air, right?
Hmm.
It's just
Hmm.
weightless, and you
Hmm.
just feel like, what is the point of it?
Hmm.
So you either believe, or you know, you just, I'm not going to take any decision on my opinion on this until there is weight.
Yeah. Yeah. But then a lot of the theories today are all about the state or the deep state keeping things from you. But now उसका तो कोई end नहीं है फिर. If you go down that rabbit hole, no.
Yeah, there is no end. And what I've also found is that a lot of conspiracy theory tends to resonate very highly with misunderstood people, who latch on to it. and are
Uh,
like, this is my community now because nobody else seems to have me. Like flat earthers and all these people, no?
yeah.
Ki,
But with Epstein, no, and the pedophilia stuff, that was really shocking because it was a conspiracy theory for years,
for years,
and
yeah.
Republicans used to say all the Democrats are into all of this racket, and then suddenly
Yeah.
uh, all of it seems true in a very scarily large setup, right? And everybody seems to be in on it, the elite especially, and nothing happens. Like
Nothing happens.
nothing happens.
That's the thing now. All of it also gets fueled by the fact he's killed in one jail cell and
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and like I said, like all the great conspiracy theories, you'll never know what is the truth
Any other
until
book
years later.
requests before we take a few questions and wrap up for the day?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Wait 1 second. I'll just
So that ka you have a hard copy.
that I have a hard copy. I'm just trying to see if there are any books. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if there are any books that I have. I read this. I've read 2, 3 good books on the Crusades,
Hmm.
which make of that what you will. Uh, I was reading them because I wanted to do a story which I did for my members on my channel. Just a
Hmm.
short. Punit, what outstanding human stories.
Hmm.
Just when you read these histories, na, ki the way that um, catastrophic events happen through very basic human problems, basic human issues. Ki you just, you wanted X and then,
And now
A
you're
to
on
Z
an
ho gaya.
adventure.
Yeah, yeah, A to Z ho gaya. So, I'll tell you.
You
Uh,
buy that fact that most of history is just like wars and destruction, and overall now we are in a, although it doesn't look like it or feel like it, we are in a quieter period of history or a more peaceful period of history. Earlier civilians hardly had, like, forget agency, they didn't have basic safety also. ऐसा
there was a lot of war, that is true. But I like this one. This was, I think, Harari concept, which I really
हाँ
enjoyed.
हाँ
He's like, the reason you don't see war is because a lot of war was fought for resources.
हाँ
And
yeah,
now the resources just aren't worth much.
much, yeah, yeah,
वो
now with
क्या करेगा?
information, yeah.
So, hey, dude, I should recommend one other book. It's
Hmm.
called A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery.
हाँ
Very good.
हाँ
Like, and I think this book will hit you more if you are a Bombay person, if you're a Mumbai person.
yeah.
It'll really like it gets in, like, you feel nostalgic about a Mumbai that you have not seen, or like it doesn't exist anymore. Very nice book. It's set in 71
Hmm.
during the Indian war with East Pakistan.
Yeah,
So the Bangladesh liberation war,
yeah,
and it's about how one Parsi family in Grant Road is affected by that war.
of course.
And
Oh,
very, 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 very nicely put. Uh,
Rohinton Mystery. He's a novelist, no, in general.
he's a novelist.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. Like it was just like, again, you feel for these characters. You just feel for like uh, the the predicaments, no matter how small or big they are, but they're important, and that's what the whole point is. Um,
There are people suggesting books to each other in the
Please,
chat, which
please,
is
please
great.
suggest books.
Which is great. One person has said Unsafe Asylum. Doug Stanhope has said Unsafe Asylum by Anirudh Kale. Punjab Journey Through Faulty Lines. Yeah, this I heard of. Um then Harsh is asking, can you suggest something like And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie? Is that your thing, really? Agatha Christie is crime, right? She's also crime, no?
She is a detective.
Detective. Okay.
Um, Recent good crime books.
Also, one book Doug has suggested, which I am not sure if it is the real book. The book's title is Bihar Lies in the Eyes of the the Beholder.
Doubt. Who knows, actually? Who knows?
Who knows? One comment, where did it go? It says that I read one conspiracy theory that Mahatma Gandhi was Jack the Ripper. यार कुछ
कुछ भी चल रहा है अभी.
कुछ भी. Yeah,
Operation Mincemeat, by the way, sorry for
yeah.
Shubham. Good on you for pointing that out. Operation
Hmm,
Mincemeat is the name of the British misdirection thingy.
hmm,
Um, for Harsh, if you're looking for a book like And Then There Were None,
hmm.
please check out Devotion of Suspect X by Keigo Higashino. You can also check out Salvation of a Saint by Keigo Higashino. Uh, Siddhi really liked The Final Curtain, so you can check that out. That is,
But
these are
this
all
same author.
Yeah, Higashino.
How
These are
how
all
do you spell his name?
Japanese. Higashino. Higashino.
Okay. Keigo Higashino.
Yeah, very good. Uh, there
Have
was
you read any Murakami? Is it too
I
depressing?
have, I have.
Is it good?
It's not depressing. I do find it like I've not read a lot of the
Hmm,
like I don't read a lot of them because the magic realism stuff also throws me up a little bit. I don't
hmm,
enjoy it very much.
hmm, hmm,
But I've read North of the Border, South of the Sun, something like that is called.
hmm,
One of
hmm,
that book. Very nice book on like nostalgia and is it possible to relive the past? That's the premise
hmm,
of the book.
hmm,
Very good. North of the
hmm.
border, south of the sun. Some one of them is just east of the border, west of some one combination of
Okay,
direction and
something like that. Okay,
uh,
okay. Arvas Khan has sent us a super chat. No message. He just wanted to say hi. Great. Thank you, Arvas, for being here.
yes.
I put the name in the chat. Keigo Higashino. I hope I'm
Hey,
pronouncing that correct. Huh.
by the way, a few books from last year, which I would want to recommend. They are converted into stories on secondhand stories, so you can also check them out.
Hmm.
But they're good books in general. There's a book called Bike Ambulance Dada.
Okay.
Crazy real story of a guy in West Bengal. I don't want to tell you too much, but this you need to hear this. But
Hmm,
basically, he loses his mother, and the reason he loses his mother is because he couldn't get an ambulance in time.
hmm.
And he resolves that he is going to try as much as he can in his personal capacity to not let this fate befall anybody else. Now, the trouble was that he didn't have the resources to buy an ambulance, but he didn't let that stop him because what he did is he converted his bike into an ambulance.
Wow.
So he would ferry people on this thing, which is why it was called Bike Ambulance Dada. So
He's got a
out,
Padma Shri apparently.
yeah,
Wow.
um, it's a crazy book, crazy story. Uh, it's a book that's very like it's very personally written, like by the author who seems to know the
Who
Karimul
researched
Haq,
on
I
this?
think his name is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
very. It's a book that'll like the story will stick with you in case you are.
There
Uh,
are there are pages. Sorry, there are pages which concentrate only on the feel good stories, and you come across stories like these, and you feel there's so many people doing great stuff without expecting, like followers or influence, or publicity. But it never seems to be enough. No, in the larger picture, you still have the corrupt politicians and the mob lynchings and all happening. So I guess it comes down to what we discussed earlier, that you do your bit, no, without trying to see where it fits in the grand scheme of things, because then it'll always be depressing if you look at it that way.
oh, dude, there is one beautiful quote that kind of echoes this thought, and I think it applies to all influencers for sure. Most artists in general, and anybody who is interested in sort of like this sort of philosophy.
Yeah.
The line is, if you want to find your voice, forget about having it heard.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
It's a
Yeah.
outstanding. This is by Allen
Yeah.
Ginsberg,
Hmm.
or Ginsberg, but great, great line. It just
I think this means we have to do the quotable quotes series that we were talking about.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
There's this first comment that came in when I announced this live yesterday was कि thought bubble कब आ रहा है.
Come
People
on,
still
it
remember.
exists outside of the two of us.
Yeah, exactly. There's a a comment for you saying from Sanskar again. He's saying, Kautuk, I know you're busy with the tour, but please do more live sessions soon.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
it's a
Improvised stories will happen very soon now that
improvised
Bawa
story.
is in town.
Okay. And one suggestion is coming from Sarnan saying, Solitude, the Science and Power of Being Alone by Neta Weinstein. That's the book suggestion there in
You
the.
are looking at two masters of the art.
Shubha Mandal Singh, Puneet, I need a hug from you. Next time I'll come to our show. Okay, I guess there's one way to get consent. In a live chat. Sure, depending on what city you're in, we just do the metros and Kautuk and Adar are doing a show. Is
No,
that
so right now
happening?
we're doing just
Justice.
justice. I want
Okay.
to do a live stand-up show soon, so
Mm.
we'll do that very
Okay.
soon.
So if you're not following Kautuk on Instagram, do that. That's where the update will come. Yeah,
Yes.
YouTube is more for the stories, and I think we got a lot of great suggestions from Kautuk today. If they at all any other reading list, you can still tell us. I'll post it here on the chat.
I
Uh,
can't think of anything off the top of my mind right now, but these are some of them.
yeah.
The Crusades thing, I'll just quickly tell you a
Hmm,
few of them.
hmm,
There is one called uh, it's a book written by one of the Monty Python
hmm,
folks.
hmm.
It's called wait, damn it.
So is it a funny book then?
No, it's just entertainingly written. It's just like a true
Ah,
history, but it's just
ah.
well
Oh,
put.
nice.
And it's called, damn it.
Also, while Kautuk remember there, one book that he suggested to me and I finally got around to is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers.
Hmm,
And it's a book on how stress affects every last fiber of your being, quite literally. And while I knew a lot of it, being from healthcare myself, but just reading it in that much detail is an eye opener. This is about everything you do in your routine, what you eat, how you sleep, how you tackle things, and what effect it has in the long run. Uh, Actually, reading the book will itself give you stress, but then I guess nothing in
that's
life
worth it.
doesn't. Yeah, yeah.
The book I found it. It's called Crusades by Terry Jones and Alan Herrera.
Okay.
So you can check that out. There's a Umberto Eco book called Bordellino, which is set in the last crusade. Interesting book. Uh,
Borderly no.
huh.
So the last Crusade was like the seventh season, which nobody wanted, but the
Yeah,
producers pushed through.
it was exactly that. It was exactly that.
So,
Spin-off of the successful series.
yeah. So Shubham Mandal says he's in Bangalore. So, okay, dude. Next show is in September in Bangalore. Next Pune show of mine is in August. And end of August, like I said at the start, me and Sanjay Rajora are doing a show together finally in Mumbai. So you can look all of that up in the description here.
Very
Uh,
interesting.
Yeah, TIS tour car tickets we had put up in the chat earlier, but we'll add to the description as well for those of you watching afterwards. Bangalore and Chennai are left, and maybe one or two more cities before Other finally goes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, once Other goes, then you're not doing this for a while, right?
No, then we are going to Europe. So in case you're
Which
watching
one?
this from
Oh
Europe,
yeah, oh yeah.
so
Some of
we're
them are.
doing, yes, we're doing Amsterdam, Berlin, and London. So that those dates are shit, 27th,
Mm.
28th of September, and then 5th of October.
And where
So
can they catch the link to that?
the link to that is in Varun Thakur's link tree
Okay,
thing on his
okay,
Instagram. So you can
okay,
find it there. Or if you are abroad, then just look up wherever you get tickets. You will find it there.
okay. All right. So there's three shows, three big shows in Europe, two big in India. And anything else that you are doing or you're planning to do that our listeners should know?
As of now, not much. Uh, do follow me on Instagram. I'm posting a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, I've also realized that like posting is its own thing. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. So you
Hosting, you
can
said.
posting like so just posting things. I want to
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
a little more active
Hmm.
on social media. So you can follow me on Instagram. That'll be a good place to start. Everything
Yeah.
else will flow from there. So
We'll put that link to his Instagram in the description as well,
yeah,
right when this ends. And we may be doing something together soon. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll get around to that. For now, we'll leave Kautuk to his primary job, which is parenting. And we kept him away from it for too long, I think. But thank you, dude, for your time.
no, no, always fun, always fun.
And I'm afraid you proved that book readers are not that sad after all. Like little bit. Yeah.
Just on first appearance,
Yeah.
but never judge a reader by the exterior.
Yeah, by the chasma.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you in live shows or otherwise online right here on the channel next time. Thank you for being here. Do like the stream if you haven't already. If you can, drop a comment after the live is done. CFBR. Good night.
yeah, and if you have book recommendations, please put them in the thing. Always looking for new things to latch on to.
Sure.
So yeah,
Yep. Works. Jamie, take us offline if you're still there. Uh, Jamie is into multiple things at the same time. So he's